Being Green. I'm Shelby Kosey, and we're here today at the Gen 7 Eco-Friendly Classroom with my 7G kids. We're going to put you through some exciting challenges and also help you learn more about becoming greener. Now, I don't mean we're going to paint ourselves green like the Incredible Hulk. But being green means that we care enough about our planet to do something special to help it stay healthy for generations to come. What this means to everyone is clean rivers, oceans, air, and healthy forests, which equals to lots of trees and plants. Earlier, we learned about 7th generation sustainability, which urges us, the current generation, to live sustainably and think 7 generations ahead, and also decide whether the decisions we're making today would benefit the children 7 generations into the future. Did you know 60 million people go to school every day as students, teachers, and staff? One of the most important things we can do is create school buildings that are healthy, conducive to learning, and will benefit students like you for generations to come. That's why we're here today at the Gen 7 Green Learning Center at American Modular Systems in Manteca, California. They build Gen 7, the leading green classroom environment, just like the one we're in today. Why don't you look around? This building is more than a classroom. It's a place where children learn and teachers will prepare the next generations. Let's take a look at some unique features of our eco-friendly classroom. Take a moment and look up. What do you see?
Lights.
They may look like lights, but they're actually skylights. There are no lights on in the classroom right now. Using natural light reduces the need for electricity, saving energy. Not to mention, natural light allows people to feel better and be more productive. With this feature, you may never need to turn the lights on during the day at all. In fact, this whole classroom is being powered by the sun.
Wow, cool!
Now, when you think about things you can recycle, what comes to mind?
Soda cans, bottles, papers.
Good, yes. All of those things can be recycled and can make a huge difference in our world. But recycling can go beyond paper, cans, and plastic bottles. This Gen 7 classroom is completely recyclable and is constructed from some of the recycled items we just discussed. What do you think this is? It's insulation. It's what helps keep the classroom cool in the summer and warm in the winter, and can be found behind the walls and in the ceiling. You can see the insulation in the cutaway here. It's made from recycled blue jeans, just like the jean you're wearing. Now, what does this look like?
A soda can!
That's right. If aluminum cans are not recycled, they're taken to landfills where it takes between 100 and 500 years for just one can to decompose. Compare that amount of time to the less than 60 days for an aluminum can to be recycled and back on the grocery shelf. Or other aluminum products like the Gen 7 window frames, which are made from 100% recycled aluminum. Now, what about this? What does this look like?
Carpet!
Right again. But did you know that every year over 4 billion pounds of carpet end up in our landfills? That's the equivalent to almost 300,000 elephants. Carpets in the Gen 7 consist of carpet squares made from recycled fiber, just like the one I'm holding here. When the carpet is damaged or stained, it is individually replaced rather than removing the entire carpet. The old carpet tiles are recycled and turned into new carpet. Recycling just 1,000 square feet of carpet, which is the size of this classroom, is equivalent to planting 25 trees. Now, here's a question for my 7G kids. How many of you have heard of the term global warming?
It has to do with when the earth gets hotter and the snow caps melting more and more each year, causing the sea level to rise.
That's right, Sabrina. Global warming is an increase in the Earth's temperature, which will eventually cause a lot of problems if we don't do something to stop that temperature from getting warmer and warmer. Here's some facts. If the snow caps were to all melt, the sea level could rise by more than 200 feet. What does that mean? Most of the land that we live on would be entirely submerged underwater. What do you think are some of the things that would cause something like this to happen?
Too many people on the planet?
Well, Anthony, there is some truth behind your answer. With overpopulation, there's a huge chain of events that can occur. For example, the more people on the planet, the more cars they drive, and more cars means more pollution. Not to mention all the factories that it would take to build these cars, and the huge amount of our natural resources that get used up, such as land, precious minerals, forests, the air we breathe, and the food resources. Because we only have one Earth, we need to figure out a way where we can live together without sacrificing our planet. That means we have to preserve the natural resources. Because at the end of the day, we can't really ask our neighbors to move to the moon because we don't have enough resources left for everyone. Now, can we?
I'll go. Me too. I'll go.
That's great, Tristan and Gabby. Thank you for volunteering, but I think that the rest of us would rather stay here on planet Earth. So, in the meantime, we need to figure out a way to keep our planet healthy, not only for ourselves, but for our future generations. What does this mean, everyone? This means we all have to be responsible to take care of Mother Earth. Wouldn't it be nice to know that we can depend on others as well as ourselves to join the fight against global warming? So our message out there is to set an example for everyone else to follow. Don't expect others and not yourself to get involved. This is truly a team effort. Now let's do an experiment and see what happens in a typical family where only mom does all the work. Here we have a typical family. Mom makes dinner, takes out the garbage, and goes grocery shopping. Easy enough, right? Now let's take mom and dad out of the picture, and what do we have? Only the kids. We fast forward a few days, kids eating all the food in the refrigerator until there's nothing left. No one takes out the garbage, and the garbage starts piling up in the kitchen. After a while, the smell starts to set in. The kids don't know what to do. They sit around waiting for someone to save them, and finally the kids are buried in a mound of trash. You see, kids, if we don't all take some responsibility and pitch in to save our planet, I'm afraid we're going to end up living in a world of trash, with no food left to eat and no clean water left to drink. We can't just count on our parents to do all the work, can we? Just like we can't hope that someone else is going to take care of the planet for us. It's time for all of us to get in on the action.
I take out the garbage. I clean my room. I help my mom cook.
Okay, very good. That's great that you all pitch in at home. Well, consider planet Earth your home as well. Not only is it our duty, but it's also our responsibility to take care of Mother Earth for our families and friends. This way, we can make sure that we have enough food, water, trees, and fresh air for everybody living on the planet today and everybody that will be living on the planet in the future. This is what we call sustainability. What is sustainability? Sustainability means that we have to learn to live today and meet our own needs without sacrificing the needs of future generations. In other words, it's not really fair for us to use up all of the Earth's resources, food, water, and trees, without making sure that there's enough left over for our children, our grandchildren, and their children to come.
Does that mean we all have to eat less food?
Well, yes, that actually is a part of the answer. We all need to stop being so wasteful and use less stuff. Now let's take a look at what we call the 3 R's. They're very important for us to remember. They're reduce, reuse, and recycle. If we all follow these rules, together we could do a lot of good for our planet, and that would give us the sustainability we need. Now let's start by looking at reduce. Does anybody here know what reduce means?
My mom always tells me my eyes are bigger than my stomach and I waste too much food. She reminds me of all the starving children in the world, so now I only put on my plate what I know I could eat.
That's a good example. Reduce means to use less stuff. For example, do we really need more clothes when our closet is full of clothes that we don't even wear? Do we need to buy so many toys and TVs and cool gadgets that sometimes you don't even make use of? Most of us don't realize how much stuff we buy and never use, or maybe just use it once or twice and then put it in the garage and forget we ever had it. Now, can you think of something that you really wanted but you didn't really need, and then once you got it, you lost interest and then never used it again? We all have, right? Well, if we keep doing that, we will use up all the planet's natural resources before we get a chance to make more for the next generation.
It's like being real selfish. We should share more.
Good point, Bella. In order to have enough to share, we have to use less stuff. And that's what we call reduce. Now, reuse is one of my favorites of the 3 R's. What does it mean? It means we keep using everything over and over again until we're tired of it or it breaks down. Reuse means that we use our stuff until we can't use it anymore. And then if we don't want it anymore, we should try to find somebody who does want it and will use it. That way we don't have to make as much stuff. Now let's take a look at some of the great items that we can use if we don't want them anymore. Trading books you already have read with someone who can reuse it is a great way to save paper and the energy it takes to make books. Not to mention the money you will save your parents because they don't have to keep buying you new books all the time. Did you know that if 500,000 kids each swapped or borrowed 5 books a year instead of buying new books, we'd save 40 million pounds of carbon? That's enough energy to power 3,400 cars for 1 year. Reusing stuff is a great way to save money and save our planet. Remember the old saying, one person's trash is another person's treasure? Now the third R is recycle. Recycling is what we all have to learn to do more of, so we can use less of our planet's natural resources.
My dad always tells me share, share. That's fair.
I like that. Share, share, that's fair. I agree with your dad, Gabby. We all need to participate in sharing. It's a form of recycling. Now let's name off some things that we can all recycle. Anything off the top of your head?
How about newspapers? My dad is too lazy to recycle them and always puts his newspapers in the garbage. Mom yells at him when he does that.
Well, Gabby, there are a lot of things that we can do to help your dad remember to recycle. You can make sure your house has a recycling bin that is close and convenient to use. Then you can post recycling rules on a sign next to your garbage to remind everybody in the house what they should be recycling. Let's look at some facts. We all know that paper comes from trees, but did you know that if every American recycled their newspapers, we would save 250 million trees every year? That's a lot of trees we can save. Here's some facts on paper. A plant takes 15 to 20 years to grow into a tree, but it only takes 10 minutes to cut it down. One tree can make 700 paper grocery bags, which get used up in about an hour. We use so much paper that we have to cut 100 acres of trees every single minute for our needs. So you see that we use up trees a lot faster than we can grow them. So if we don't start to recycle, we're definitely going to run out of trees. Now let's take a look at what happens when we do recycle our paper. For each 2,000 pounds of paper that we recycle, we can save 17 trees, 380 gallons of oil, 4,000 kilowatts of energy, 7,000 gallons of water, and 3 cubic yards of landfill space. Plus, the 17 trees we can save absorb 250 pounds of carbon dioxide from the air each year. Burning that same 2,000 pounds of paper would create 1,500 pounds of carbon dioxide. Recycling paper may be a simple task, but the benefits to our planet's health are many. That's why we have to continue to remind our neighbors, our families, and our friends just how important it is to all of us. Once we learn the basics of recycling, we can recycle all sorts of stuff. And you'd be surprised at what some of these items are. Let's make a list of the things that we already know that we can recycle.
Clothes,
Shoes,
Paper,
plastic bottles,
cans,
glass,
TVs,
computers,
Computers, TVs, radios, even cell phones are all called e-waste, and they're all recyclable. Now, what about leftover food? Did you know that you can recycle all of your leftovers?
disgusting.
You can compost it and make it into organic fertilizer for gardens. That's right, it's some of the best fertilizer available to us.
I would never have thought of that. It's like feeding food with food.
That's one way to put it. There are just so many things that we can recycle, like used motor oil from our parents' cars. Did you know that just 1 quart of motor oil thrown away improperly can contaminate up to 2 million gallons of fresh water? Now, would any of you want to drink that water now?
My dad always recycles his oil.
Your dad is setting a great example. But there are some people out there who don't always do the right thing, and they pour their used motor oil down the drain, which leads to our lakes, rivers, and oceans, contaminating and killing a lot of our natural habitat. How about the used batteries from Tristan's Xbox controller? Did you know that you can recycle those batteries as well?
I just toss them in the trash when they're dead. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault that you didn't know, Tristan. But it is up to all of us to ask our parents and our teachers to help us learn more about recycling. We can do research on the internet or even go to the library. There's so much information available to us. And in America, we have a special responsibility because we use so much stuff. This is why we need to lead the world in setting a green example. Let's take a look at our monitor. Americans equal 5% of the world's population. Americans produce 40% of the world's trash. Let's imagine there is a classroom of 8 students, and each one of those students represented a country, and just one of those students made as much garbage as 8 other students in the classroom. Well, that's not really fair to the other kids in the classroom, is it? If you look at the world as a whole, that one student represents America. We as Americans generate more trash than any other country in the world, which is why we need to start cleaning up our act and start doing the 3 R's. What are the 3 R's again?
Reduce, reuse, recycle!
That's right. It's not that hard to get involved. Spreading the word recycle is just a small effort on our part to save the planet. It's easy being green if you know how. Did you know that 9 out of 10 people would recycle more if it were made easier?
Think green! Recycle! Yay!